and welcome to another mailbag. Remember, these are questions and comments you guys leave on my channel. I do my humble best to try and answer them correctly. But before we start, the normal parish notices. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button. If you want to be notified when I post new content to the channel, hit the bell icon. If you want to support the production of videos on the channel and the channel in general, go over to Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/TheMusicTechGuyUK. The address is down here somewhere. And finally, in this era of coronavirus or COVID-19, remember, stay at home, stay safe, wash your hands, and hopefully with a little bit of luck, in a few weeks' time, things will start to return to normal. Now, the mailbag. So, the first one for this mailbag session comes from G123S. And he writes, "Hi, thanks for the video. Do the USB inputs only support Roland products? I'm looking to connect a TD3 and a monologue." And this was in response to the famous Roland MX-1 using ARIA via USB to the MX-1, which was August last year, August 2019. And unfortunately, I have to report that the USB support on the MX-1 is predominantly for Roland equipment. Now, what was happening, and it hasn't happened for a while, but each time a new batch of synths was released, there will be an update to the MX-1. That update to the MX-1 added support into the MX-1 firmware for that new batch of synths, so the synths that had USB outs on them could plug into the back of the USB, the MX-1, and you could use them. And what I mean by support is I mean that the MX-1 will recognize the audio data, and if you're using it in mixer mode, effectively it will present the audio data onto one of the USB channels, and then you can effectively use the channel fader and apply the effects to the audio, and out it will come out of the MX-1 outputs. Or if you're using it in one of the other modes, it will present that channel, the USB data, audio data and MIDI data up to your computer for use within a DAW, for argument's sake. That's what I mean by support. Now, I haven't seen any updates to the MX-1 recently. I haven't really looked, if I'm brutally honest, to support the sort of latest batch of Phantoms, Jupiters and Groove boxes that sort of arrived on the scene last September. That's September 2019. And as at the moment, I don't have any of these machines. I can't test the MX-1, although the MX-1 is in storage anyway, so I couldn't test it. But I don't have any machines I can actually test at the moment to make sure this functionality has already been built into the firmware. As in the last time they did a master big firmware update on the MX-1, they included support for all the future stuff that was coming out, so all the future boutiques and all the future main instruments from Roland, sorry. But I can't confirm that, so the likelihood is that the new batch of stuff might not be supported on the MX-1. So if it's not supported on the MX-1, Roland, why not? In terms of other brands, now I've had mixed results with other brands, if I'm brutally honest. I have some things where the USB is passed through, but in all cases, I've had none of the other brands. The audio is recognised, and you can use the faders on the MX-1 to control the audio. So the Roland MX-1 acts like a USB hub effectively, but others it doesn't. So it's kind of really, really hit and miss, but probably more miss than hit. Hopefully that answers that question. So the next one comes from Kevin Harrington, and he writes, "This was the go-to company for aftermarket sounds. Expanded my Roland catalogue of sounds, my Kawai catalogue of sounds, and my Yamaha catalogue of sounds. An absolute godsend." And he is writing in response to the SMR I did back in January 2020 about who were SoundSource Unlimited. And just a reminder, SoundSource Unlimited were a Californian company working in sort of that sort of Hollywood basin, really. They were based in Los Angeles, or just outside one of the sort of suburbs of Los Angeles, if you like. And they produced sound sources for lots of different manufacturers of the time. And I've actually got hold of a sound source catalogue from the late 80s, which I actually presented on the channel, some of the pages from that catalogue. And they definitely cover a wide range of manufacturers. So all the major synth platforms in that sort of late 80s, early 90s period, they were making sounds for them. And what I found really interesting about SoundSource Unlimited is the fact that how quickly, in a matter of 20 years or so, they have completely disappeared off the face of the earth. There's no trace of the company anymore. There's no trace of SoundSource Unlimited, and you do see cartridges and discs come up on various trading sites every now and then. But SoundSource Unlimited have disappeared completely. So, very interesting story, SoundSource, and I'd like to have a little bit more information maybe on it. Somebody the other day actually did ping me and said that they programmed the drums on one of the SoundSource pieces, so that may be a way to follow up. The next one comes from Darren. And he writes, I had one of these back in 1991, about 5 modules, Proteus 1, Oberheim Matrix 1000, Alsys SR16, and a few more. Happy days. God, I wish in 1991 I could have afforded to have that many things in my stable. Shame my memory doesn't have that much reverb. Maybe I should have remembered those demo songs better. Now, this is in response to the Korg T1 demo songs video I did, which is where basically I loaded all the demo songs into the memory and then just played them through, just so that you could see what the T1 was really capable of in the hands of one of these master programmers. And basically, I mean, I never had a T1 back in the day. From if you've watched the channel, that I acquired my T1 and I was absolutely ecstatic when I got it, and then I had to lavish a little bit of TLC on the on the T1 to bring it back to sort of rude health. There were a number of things that needed sorting out, but it does have a beautiful keyboard. It's a lovely weighted keyboard to play, and it's a great controller for your studio. So, if you are thinking about a controller keyboard for your studio and you haven't got you've got room for it, shall we put it that way? And so rather than going for sort of one of these plasticky MIDI controllers, go for something with a bit of girth and a bit of weight. And the other thing I really like about the T1 is the fact that it's got this sort of wide area on either end that you can actually stick stuff on. So you can have your computer on one end and you can have some tone modules and some stuff on the other end. But it has space on the keyboard. It's a proper sort of wide, deep instrument case. To be honest, Darren, it's a shame that you didn't keep the modules. As they now are coming sort of kind of back into vogue, and being a little bit sought after, they're starting to hold their value on the various trading platforms. But really, really sort of great to see what you had, and that you enjoyed the demo songs. So brilliant. So, last one for this section comes from Strawberry Milk, and I do love the name Strawberry Milk. Brilliant tuber name. And they write, I found them. The UK parts are available for order on parts at musictribe.com. Now, musictribe.com, for those of you who don't know, is the Behringer support line. And this is in response to the arrival of the Behringer RD8 video I did on January 2020. And it basically, I'll give you some background to this because there was sort of a little bit of an exchange going on. I did a question and answer session a little while back, and I thought this was worthwhile following up on. So, when you buy a product from many of the manufacturers, in fact, not just Behringer, but many of the manufacturers, they give you a transformer that is multi-region, so it works across many voltages, and also comes with an interchangeable, if you like, head. So the transformer itself has some way of attaching a different head to it that will plug you into different sockets depending on where in the world you are. So typical, as you've seen in the past, us in the UK operate this sort of 3-pin style adapter. Over on the continent, it's a round adapter with 2 round pins and an earth pin that's sort of built into the plastic lining of the socket. And then elsewhere in the world, they're either flat pins or they're different configurations. And what these manufacturers do is they effectively have one transformer that's been manufactured to work in multi-voltages, and then they effectively slot on these adapters so that you can use them in which part of the world you are. And what I said is trying to get one of these as an aftermarket part in the general market space is probably going to be pretty hard. I've tried to get hold of things for other manufacturers in the past, and I found it really hard. And this tuber has said effectively, it's great to know that Behringer are actually supporting this. So you can, if you buy a European model that's designed to be sold into the European market, or you buy it secondhand, and the person you bought it off of has the European head, if you like, slotted onto the transformer. It's great to see that you can go to Behringer, and Behringer will effectively sell you the UK adapter for it. That is absolutely brilliant user service or end user service. But a lot of the manufacturers don't do it. But it's nice to see that Behringer are actually supporting that model. So thumbs up, Behringer. You seem to be doing all the right things for all the right reasons, methinks, at the moment.